The Baltimore Ravens are back in action for training camp, and while the energy around Owings Mills is high, the injury bug has already started to show its teeth. The biggest name to hit the headlines, Isaiah Likely, the young tight end seen as a major piece in Baltimore's offensive puzzle, suffered a small fracture in his foot during practice earlier this week. And yeah, that's the kind of news that shifts the tone of an entire camp. It all happened during one of the final periods of practice, a one-on-one drill where tight ends and receivers go head-to-head against the defensive backs. Likely went down and needed assistance to get off the field. He was eventually carted to the locker room. We didn't know much at the time, but we do now. He's expected to undergo surgery immediately to stabilize the fracture and the recovery. Timeline is being estimated at around 6 to 8 weeks. That puts his availability for week 1 right on the bubble, and in a contract year, the stakes couldn't be higher. Now here's where things get tricky. Injuries are part of football. Every player knows that. But when it's a guy like Likely, who's not only fighting for his role, but also looking to make a name in a loaded offense, this timing couldn't be worse. And it's not just about the bone, it's the fascia, the connective tissue, the nerves, the tendons. Everything in that foot takes a hit when you go under the knife. And once surgery's done, that's just the beginning. The real battle is in the rehab. Likely's return to baseline will be 1 part physical, 2 parts mental. The body needs to relearn movements. The brain has to reestablish trust in that foot, in every cut, every plant, every explosive motion. And that's the challenge for any skilled position player, especially someone like Likely, who thrives on timing, quickness, and contact balance. Fast twitch muscle fibers, proprioception, nerve signaling, all of it has to align again. And in the meantime, the Ravens offense has to recalibrate. Game plans change, depth charts shuffle, opportunities for other guys emerge. There's optimism that he could be ready early in the season, possibly even week 1, but let's be real, this isn't Madden. No recovery is guaranteed. Every foot fracture heals differently, and rushing back too soon could lead to setbacks. That stretch into mid-season. In Likely's case, where the business side of football now intersects with the physical grind, it might actually be smarter to wait. Wait until he's truly back to full strength. Wait until he's ready to be that matchup nightmare again. Because anything less could cost him leverage. And in the NFL, leverage is everything. And speaking of leverage, let's talk Roquan Smith. You want leadership. You want fire. Look no further than the man in the middle of the Ravens' defense. After a slow start to last season, Roquan caught some heat. An anonymous NFL assistant reportedly criticized his conditioning and said he looked sluggish at times. You know how Roquan responded straight to the point. He said, "I was an all-pro, a pro bowler." That's the past. Tune in this season and you'll see. That's how a dog talks. Let's not forget Roquan's first few games last year were about adjustment. New team, new system, a ton of responsibility on his shoulders. It's easy to criticize from the outside, but inside that building, coaches knew he was anchoring the defense even when he wasn't playing his fastest football. And now here in training camp, the guy looks different, slimmer, quicker, locked in. He's moving like the Roquan Smith we saw in Chicago, the one who wrecks plays before they even develop. That's scary news for opposing offenses and exactly what the Ravens need if they're going to make a deep playoff push this year. But the defense isn't just Roquan. The cornerback group has been turning heads too. And one name that keeps popping up, TJ Tampa. 2 days in a row, he's out. They're strapping guys up. Lockdown coverage, poise, reading routes like a veteran. There was a comeback route thrown during drills, around 15 to 18 yards downfield, and Tampa broke on it like he knew it was coming. Eyes, feet, technique, all textbook, even when going up against Tez Walker, a receiver who's been electric in Camp Tampa held his ground. Press coverage, hand placement, punched outs at the catch point. That's the stuff you love to see from a rookie trying to earn his stripes. The Ravens secondary as a whole looks deep. Jaquan Amos, Jelani Davis, even veterans like Arthur Mollett. Guys are stepping up. And it's not just in coverage. Travis Jones on the defensive line, that man is a wrecking ball. Practice after practice, he's flashing, shedding blocks, collapsing pockets, making life tough on the offensive line. If he keeps it up, he's going to force his way into significant playing time. No question. And then there's Zay Flowers. Now, this one isn't as severe as Likely's situation, but it's still something to keep an eye on. Flowers didn't finish Tuesday's practice and was held out Wednesday. He was visibly frustrated, tossed his helmet, walked gingerly to the sideline, clearly favoring his leg. John Harbaugh called it a camp thing, which, let's be honest, has become the new buzzword when the team doesn't want to cause panic. Harbaugh said it's not serious, just something that needs a few days of rest. And that's fine. But with a player like Zay, a guy whose whole game is built on explosiveness and acceleration, you don't take chances. Muscle fatigue, minor tweaks. They all compound if you push through them too early. So for now, caution is the move. And it's the same for cornerback JALEN Davis, who also missed time, but thankfully got good news from his MRI. It's a long camp. You've got to manage these guys carefully, especially when you're trying to make a run in January, not just look good in July. One thing's clear, this defense is flying around. The competition level is sky high. Every rep feels like a battle. And that's exactly what you want in a camp like this. You've got young guys like Chandler Martin, Jay Higgins, and Teddy Buchanan getting real looks. And they're not just surviving, they're thriving, reading schemes, showing discipline, communicating like vets. That linebacker room is one to watch. And it's only going to get more interesting once we hit the joint practices and preseason games. Now, even on the offensive side, you're seeing flashes. Leonte Wester apparently had his best day of camp, making himself known in a crowded receiver room. Anthony Miller is out there fighting for a role, and you've got battles everywhere. The offensive line versus the pass rush, the wideouts versus a feisty secondary. The team is sharp, but they're not perfect, and that's what camp is for. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster first week. You've got injuries, yes, but you've also got intensity competition and breakout performances. This team looks hungry. You can feel it in the tempo of drills, in the way players are flying to the ball, in the accountability during walkthroughs and scrimmages. They know the window is open. Lamar's in his prime. The core is locked in. The Super Bowl isn't some distant dream. It's a real goal, but staying healthy is going to be key. And that's what makes Isaiah Likely's injury such a gut punch. Because he was supposed to be a chess piece, a matchup nightmare, a guy who could line up anywhere and create problems. Now the Ravens will have to wait and see. Will he be back in week 1 maybe? Week 2 possibly. But the real question is, when he does come back, will he be the same Isaiah? Likely will he trust that foot the way he used to? Will he still be the dynamic playmaker they're counting on? As the Ravens continue to grind through the heart of training camp, the tone inside. The facility remains intense, focused, and, most of all, competitive. Even with the cloud of injuries hanging over the team, the vibe on the field hasn't dipped. If anything, it's ramped up, and that's what makes this camp feel different. You can sense that players know what's at stake this season. This isn't a rebuilding squad hoping to surprise people. This is a team built to contend. And every practice rep is a battle for a spot in that fight. Let's circle back to Isaiah Likely for a second. Because while we've talked about his injury from the medical and strategic angles, there's still another layer, the contract angle. He's entering a pivotal stretch in his career, one where performance and availability are going to directly influence his future. If he comes back too early and underperforms, it's not just about hurting the team. It's about hurting his own stock. That changes how a player rehabs, how he trains, even how he thinks about risk. Health becomes leverage, and leverage, that's currency in this league. We've seen how this plays out before. Look no further than guys like Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson, both of whom understood when the leverage shifted in their favor and cashed in. Likely doesn't have the same position or resume, but the principle holds. If he's back healthy and balling late in the year when the Ravens are making a playoff push, that's the kind of thing that gets remembered in contract talks. That's what gets teams excited. That's what moves numbers. For now, the offense will have to find ways to adapt without him. It opens the door for other tight ends on the roster, but it also challenges the coaching staff to experiment. Maybe that means more 3-wide sets. Maybe it means getting creative with running backs out of the slot. Either way, Todd Monken and this staff are going to have to stay fluid. They can't afford to stall out in September waiting on guys to get healthy. Meanwhile, let's talk about the guy who's quietly been taking over camp, Roquan Smith. Watching him in person is different. He's not just fast, he's decisive. He sees plays develop before they unfold, and he closes with violence. Every drill, every rep he's barking out calls lining guys up, holding teammates accountable. And when you combine that with his physical tools, you start to understand why this defense leans on him so heavily. There was a stretch in practice this week where Roquan made back-to-back stops in run fits that looked like they came out of a clinic tape. He navigated traffic, slipped past a pulling guard, and stoned the ball carrier behind the line of scrimmage. That kind of play recognition is what separates good linebackers from elite ones. And make no mistake, Roquan's elite. The chatter about him not being in shape or starting slow last year, that's dead. This version of him looks sharper, quicker, more locked in than ever. And maybe most importantly, he seems pissed off. Not out of control, not unfocused, but that chip is back. That edge, he's heard the noise. And now he's got something to prove, which is terrifying for the rest of the AFC North. Across the field, Zay Flowers is still working his way back from what the team continues to call a camp thing. That phrase might be intentionally vague, but the tape doesn't lie. He didn't look comfortable when he came off Tuesday's field. He's the high-energy guy, always running, always chirping, always setting the tone in his own way. So when you see him slow down, you know something's off. The good news is that it doesn't appear to be serious. No limp now, no brace, no wrap. But with a player like Zay, whose entire game is rooted in explosion, agility, and short area burst, you take no chances. Hamstrings, calves, hip flexors, those are the injuries that can linger if not treated with caution. The Ravens know that. They also know that Flowers is going to be a cornerstone of this offense. If he's not 100%, it's not worth risking him for a few padded practices in August. Same goes for JALEN Davis, who's reportedly dealing with a minor issue, but had positive MRI results. Another camp thing. Another young guy the Ravens are hoping can take a step this year. And that's where things get interesting. Because behind the starters, this roster is loaded with players on the verge of breaking out. Let's go back to TJ Tampa. This dude is putting together a highlight reel camp, and it's not by accident. He's physical at the line, technically sound at the top of routes, and he's making plays on the ball. Whether it's deflections, pass breakups, or just smothering coverage, Tampa's showing up every single day. The reps against Tez Walker are must-watch moments during practice. Two young explosive talents going at it in one unknowns. It doesn't get more fun than that. And what stands out the most is Tampa's ability to recover. Even if he gets beat initially, his ability to close and disrupt is elite. Now, Walker's no slouch. He's been cooking in drills, but Tampa's had the edge. That's rare for a rookie defensive back in his first NFL camp. Usually, these guys need time. They get overwhelmed. They get exposed, not Tampa. He's hanging them more than that. He's thriving. The same can be said about the young linebackers. Chandler Martin, Teddy Buchanan, Jay Higgins, these guys aren't just names on the roster anymore. They're making it hard for coaches to ignore them. Martin in particular has stood out. He's diagnosing plays quickly, showing burst in the hole, and bringing the kind of physicality that fits this Ravens defense to a T. You can tell he's playing fast because he knows what he's saying. That's a big sign for a young linebacker. Jake Hummel's another name who's flashed. He's showing range awareness and the ability to cover backs and tight ends, something that can absolutely earn you a role on Sundays. The linebacker room is suddenly deep and the competition is fierce. Patrick Queen might be gone, but Ravens are working to reload, not rebuild. And then you got the defensive front. Man, they've been a problem. Travis Jones looks like he's ready to take a leap. He's exploding off the ball, commanding double teams and creating chaos in the backfield. Washington has been right there with him. The battles in the trenches have been physical, nasty, and intense. That's how you build toughness. That's how you forge a defensive identity. Up front, Justin Matterboy continues to do Justin Matterboy things. He's the quiet assassin on this team. He doesn't say much, but every time the whistle blows, he's in the backfield. Disruptive, relentless. And with Michael Pierce healthy again, the interior of that line is stout. Very stout. Good luck running between the tackles against this group. In the secondary, Jair Alexander, he's not technically a Raven, but when he visited, made an impression. And in his absence, other corners have stepped up. Arthur Mollett, JALEN Davis, and yes, TJ Tampa, again, have all had moments. But let's not forget about Brandon Stephens and Kyle Hamilton. Those two are the glue on the back end. Stephens is versatile, consistent, and a physical tackler. Hamilton, he's different. A unicorn. You can line him up anywhere and he's going to make plays. There was one practice rep where Hamilton came screaming off the edge on a delayed blitz and completely blew up the play before the quarterback even looked up. That's the kind of game-changing talent he brings. He's not just a safety, he's a weapon. Offensively, Lamar Jackson continues to look poised, polished, and in full control. The deep ball's been in there. The timing with receivers is improving. But the biggest takeaway is how much command he has over the offense. He's checking at the line, adjusting protections, barking at receivers to line up correctly. It's his show now. And you can see that reflected in how everyone responds to him. Odell might be gone, but the receiver room is far from bare. Nelson, Angle has been steady. Devontae Walker is pushing for real playing time. Leonte Wester had a breakout practice, and guys like DeAndre Hopkins, wait, yes, D-Chop, have flashed even if he hasn't always come down with the cleanest catches. The physical talent is undeniable. The chemistry is building, and Lamar seems ready to let it rip. Anthony Miller's another name to watch. He's fighting for a roster spot, but he's made tough catches in traffic and shown some juice after the catch. He's in that mix for WR4 or WR5, and he's not backing down. That's the beauty of this time of year. Every day someone steps up. So where does this leave the Ravens heading into the second full week of camp? Honestly, in a pretty strong spot. Yes, the Isaiah Likely injury is a setback, no doubt. But the team has depth. The defense looks ferocious. The young guys are stepping up. And most importantly, there's a culture of accountability brewing. Leaders are emerging. The coaching staff is testing these players and they're responding. It's not perfect. There have been drops. There have been blown assignments. But that's what this period is for. You make the mistakes now. So you don't make them in September. And the vibe around this team is that they're building towards something serious. The preseason matchups will be telling, especially the joint practices with the Colts. That's when you really start to see who's ready, who's rising, who's fading. But right now, the energy is right. The urgency is real. And the Ravens look like a team that's not just preparing for another season. They're preparing to make a statement. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The NFL community was set ablaze this week with a wave of speculation after Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh hinted at a potential blockbuster move that could reshape the AFC power structure. Speaking during a press availability following a routine training camp session, Harbaugh dropped a name that instantly sent shockwaves through the league. JALEN Ramsey, the Pro Bowl cornerback, known for his fierce competitiveness and lockdown coverage skills, has reportedly been in informal talks with the Ravens front office. Although Harbaugh stopped short of an official confirmation, insiders claim his demeanor and choice of words strongly imply that a deal could be in the works. The buzz escalated quickly on social media, with fans and analysts dissecting Harbaugh's every phrase and tone. "We're always looking to add great talent," he said cryptically. If someone like Ramsey becomes available, well, let's just say we'd be interested. While no formal announcement has been made, sources close to the organization believe an agreement could be imminent. It's not the first time Harbaugh has dropped subtle hints about roster moves, but this time, the implications are massive. Ramsey would bring elite veteran experience and bolster a secondary already rich with talent, making the Ravens one of the most dangerous defensive units in the league. Adding fuel to the fire, JALEN Ramsey himself stirred the pot by posting a cryptic message on his social media accounts shortly after Harbaugh's remarks gained traction. The post featured nothing more than a raven emoji and a pair of eye emojis. But in today's digital age, that was more than enough to send fans into a frenzy. Speculation erupted across NFL forums, with theories ranging from a completed trade deal to a strategic ploy by Ramsey to accelerate negotiations with either the Ravens or another interested team. The cornerback is no stranger to high-stakes drama, having previously engineered his exit from Jacksonville in spectacular fashion. Could this be another instance of Ramsey setting the stage for a major relocation? Some insiders believe that mutual interest between Ramsey and the Ravens has existed for years, and that Baltimore's strong defensive culture is a natural fit for his intense playing style. Harbaugh's coaching philosophy, emphasizing discipline and strategic flexibility, aligns well with Ramsey's on-field personality. Observers are also noting that Baltimore recently cleared cap space, leading some to believe the team is positioning itself to absorb a high-profile contract. While still unconfirmed, the pieces appear to be aligning in a way that makes this potential move feel more plausible than ever. Beyond the coach's tantalizing hints and Ramsey's own cryptic messages, league executives are reportedly monitoring the situation closely. One anonymous AFC executive told a national outlet that where there's smoke, there's usually fire in Baltimore. He went on to suggest that the Ravens, known for working quietly behind the scenes, may already have the framework of a deal in place. While Ramsey is still under contract, his current team may be looking to offload salary and retool their defense with younger assets. Baltimore, on the other hand, is in win-now mode and could see Ramsey as the final piece of a Super Bowl caliber defense. His versatility, ability to play both outside and in the slot, and veteran leadership make him a valuable asset for a team that's just a few plays away from dominance. Harbaugh has always been calculated in his comments, so for him to name drop a player of Ramsey's caliber, accidentally or not, seems deliberate. It's rare for coaches to publicly acknowledge targets unless there's serious traction behind the scenes. At this point, the possibility of Jalen Ramsey in a Ravens uniform isn't just rumor. It's beginning to feel like an unfolding reality. Fans in Baltimore have wasted no time imagining what the Ravens' defense could look like with Ramsey in the lineup. The thought of pairing him with rising stars like Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey has defensive coordinators across the league already bracing for impact. The potential secondary duo of Ramsey and Humphrey would be arguably the most fearsome cornerback tandem in the NFL, a nightmare for even the most elite quarterbacks. It's a mouth-watering scenario that elevates the Ravens from a playoff team to a legitimate championship contender. Ravens loyalists are already flooding fan pages with mock jersey edits, speculative trade packages, and defensive stat projections. Sports talk shows have devoted entire segments to what this could mean for the AFC North, a division that already boasts fierce competition. Some analysts are questioning whether this is a strategic leak from within the Ravens organization to gauge public reaction or to nudge other interested parties into action. Whether tactical or genuine, the buzz around this potential move has overshadowed even ongoing preseason battles. While some caution against reading too much into early summer chatter, the sheer volume of signals suggests that something real may indeed be brewing in Baltimore. Of course, until pen meets paper, this remains firmly in the realm of speculation. There's always a chance that talks could break down or that Ramsey is simply leveraging the Ravens' interest to gain bargaining power elsewhere. Still, the momentum behind this story is undeniable. Harbaugh's uncharacteristic openness combined with Ramsey's social media activity and the team's recent roster moves create a compelling narrative that continues to gather steam. In many ways, this feels like the calm before a major storm, a calculated dance between player and franchise that could culminate in one of the most significant defensive acquisitions of the year. If the Ravens do manage to land Ramsey, it will send a clear message to the rest of the league. Baltimore is all in. With the season fast approaching, the window for major moves is closing, and any announcement could drop at a moment's notice. Until then, all eyes remain on Baltimore, where whispers are turning into murmurs and murmurs into roars. Whether it's genius-level misdirection or the beginning of a new defensive dynasty, the NFL world is watching, waiting, and wondering if Jalen Ramsey is truly about to become a Raven. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.